It's Christmas break, and I'm in my home office around 9:30 a.m. And I start hearing these heavy footsteps, like rushing all around the house. Like I wonder if one of my kids is looking for me. And then I hear him start saying, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh." And it's getting louder and louder, still running around the house. And it's one of my son's birthdays, so I think that maybe somebody got him something great or is picking him up to go do something fun, and he's looking around for me to tell me. But then it started sounding more and more distraught. So I rushed out of my office to try and figure out where this noise is coming from. And I see one of my sons up on the top floor, just pacing back and forth through the hallway. And I can tell now that he is distraught. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh." So I finally go there and I'm like, "What is going on?" And he says, "He's gone forever." And it's so dramatic. And I'm like, "Who's gone? What's going on?" He names my other son and he says, "He's gone forever." I'm like, "Where did he go? Did he leave you a note? What, did he take the car?" He's like distraught. He's like beating his chest, pulling on his hair. He looks terrible. And I'm trying to figure out what the heck has happened. Has one of my kids run away? Like, what is going on? But when I got closer to him, I could tell he had this like wild look in his eye. So I'm like, okay, he's just delirious. And this has happened before when this kid has gotten a fever and he's been sick. So finally I'm at least clued into what's going on, but he's still like pacing back and forth like a madman, got this wild look in his eyes. And then he like takes off and heads to my bathroom and he's like trying to show me the mirror for some reason. And I'm like, I don't, what's going on? Let's get you back to bed. And I'm like just trying to figure out how to keep him safe. And I'm like, okay, everybody's fine. Let's get you back to your bed. And my daughter was helping me by this time and we got him back to bed. And as we're walking back, he starts to kind of snap out of it and we can like talk to him and tell him to rest. And I gave him some ibuprofen to get his fever down and then I get him back to sleep. But it was terrifying at first. Like he was seriously disturbed by whatever he thinks happened. So eventually later, I was able to talk to him about it and he was like, he could remember a dream where he had pushed my other son through a mirror and he couldn't get him out. So, I mean, that is terrifying. But, I guess the moral of this story is that sometimes it is truly terrifying to be a mother and you do not know what to expect. And I just have to watch that kid like a hawk when he gets a fever. I also had another kid who had febrile seizures, which were scary too. But yeah, just a story of things that have been going on lately in the Archibald home as we start this next experiments episode. Welcome to the Family Lab, where we investigate all things parenting and home management. So it's that time again where I update you about the experiments we've been trying here in the Archibald home. I haven't done it since last summer, so this will cover fall and part of winter. Thankfully, my kids are all over their Christmas sickness. We did Christmas with a bunch of cousins, and when you do that in the winter, somebody's bound to bring it. We bring it sometimes, they bring it sometimes. It's just kind of inevitable, but everybody's healthy and back to school. So today I'll talk about some of the experiments that we've been doing in our house since my last update. I'll start with the home management side, and then I'll talk about some parenting experiments, and finally, some of my personal experiments. So I feel like it's basically become tradition for me to share my latest endeavor at figuring out how to get my kids to clean the kitchen and keep it clean. So another season, another attempt. So for a while this fall, I looked at the individual tasks and I tried to figure out which of my kids was most likely to succeed with which jobs. So my high school senior has several off periods throughout the week, and I figured he would be the best candidate for emptying the dishwasher, even though that's kind of the easiest job that my preschoolers could do. I do need somebody reliable who could get it done before everybody came home from school. So I decided to give him that job, which he was thrilled about. And then the second most coveted job among my kids is trash and floor, which I combined. So I gave that job to my daughter, who I knew would also do it most reliably. Another son was in charge of clearing and wiping down the table, and another the same with the island. So I took the job everyone hates the most, actually washing the dishes, which is what I usually do because I just don't want to deal with the complaining. I'm fine. I'll just get them done. And then my husband, David, his schedule is the least reliable. So he doesn't have a permanent job. He just helps with everything when he's home. And he's really helpful. So that works out great. So it actually went pretty well at first. And so I decided to actually keep it for the next 3 months. So we did this all fall, September, October, November, maybe even into December. Yeah. So 4 months. And they were pretty good at it. They did a pretty good job, especially those important jobs, the dishwasher and the trash. But the problem is it only takes one day of not emptying the dishwasher to derail the whole week. And it gets backed up. It's this domino effect. And it's also really annoying if the kid doesn't come home as planned or they have something after school and the trash is overflowing. And I'm like, well, I want to have them do their job and have responsibility in the kitchen. So they were better at it than some other kids have been, but it still wasn't completely consistent. And plus, there's the problem that doing the dishes actually really wipes me out and hurts my back. And I have to rest afterwards, and I'm kind of done for the day after that. So I decided this January that we were going to get more logical about the whole approach. And I tried to look at it objectively as if I were like a business consultant. So I liked that idea of like catering to their strengths and what would actually get done. But I realized I wasn't really doing that with myself. I was only doing that with the kids. The advantage that I have is that I'm home the most. And so those two jobs, like the emptying the dishwasher and emptying the trash and keeping the floor swept, which kind of predetermine the success of everything else in the kitchen, especially the kids getting their own dishes into the dishwasher. Everything else depends on that. And so I thought, well, what if I just take those jobs? The kids won't be happy because they like those easy jobs, but I will be reliable and I'm motivated to get those things done. So this is what we're trying. I'm doing the dishes and the trash. Then all the other kids, instead of assigning them specific jobs, we're just like after dinner, we're just having them all pitch in to help. And then one person a day gets assigned the dreaded dish job. But the good news is it's not like this overwhelming task because I already have the dishwasher emptied. This seems like a no-brainer and I should have thought of it long ago, but I was always like, well, I don't want to stick the kids with the job that they hate the most. And I don't want to take the easy jobs. I don't know. I guess I was being an annoying martyr, but this makes so much more sense. So we're trying this and we've given it a try for a week. It's our trial run and it's been actually amazing. Everybody's been cheerful and happy about pitching in because the workload is so much lighter because we're not backed up. And I kind of just feel like a dummy for not thinking of it earlier. So that's what we're doing. I will let you know in the spring how it turns out. But yeah, so far so good. So yeah, sometimes you just have to take an objective view and look at all the pieces. And what if I finally found the thing that will stick? I don't know. Maybe we just have to keep mixing it up to get people motivated again. But we're going to try this for a while and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so the next thing that we've been working on is being more consistent about having a weekly family project that we do on Saturdays. Usually it's Saturdays. If we're going to be busy on Saturday, we stick it on another day where it makes sense. But we've always kind of had like a family job that we do on Saturday, but often it's been like piecemeal, like everybody has to spend 30 minutes on this, or everybody has a piece of it that they need to get done or something like that. But lately we've been trying to like make it a connective activity and try and do it all together. Sometimes this can cause fights, but actually I've been surprised at how well it's been working lately. So we've been doing projects like one week we just took all the clutter from all over the house. So first I had everybody get everything out of their bedrooms that they did not want in their bedrooms. and put it in baskets. And then I just gathered all the loose clutter from everywhere, even the storage room, all the rooms, and we just put it all in the living room. And we had a bin for donations, a trash can, and baskets for each of the kids so that we could sort the things into the baskets that they belonged in. And then we had some piles for like things that go in specific rooms. And we just sorted through that stuff and donated a ton of stuff. I think we had like 6 trash bags full of stuff that we were able to donate. Everybody kind of pitched in. It actually took more than one day because it was quite a project, but it was amazing to just like get all of that stuff. And we had everybody in the room so we could be like, hey, does anybody want this? If nobody's going to claim it, we're going to put it in the donations bin. Anyway, it was fantastic. Another project we did was just, we took the storage room one week and just, figured everything out, cleaned it up, even vacuumed, all the things. So we just kind of pick a different project, usually whatever needs it the most, and we did it all together. And that's been going really well. So it especially goes well if we let people know beforehand what the expectation is, what the project's going to be, and they can kind of gauge how long that's going to take. And anyway, so that's been going great. And there have been much fewer fights than I expected. A lot of reluctance. Some were like, no, I'm not going to do it. And so I just assigned them another like chore that had a beginning and end, but kind of like strategized to make it a little bit harder than it would be to just help us all. And so that child, that specific time, ended up being like, oh, it's just going to be easier to do it with the family. And then he was like a willing participant and did a great job. So that's been working for us. My husband and I, David, usually decide together what the project should be based on, what's been bugging us. So it could be the garage, it could be the yard, cleaning up the yard, things like that. So that's been great. The third home management experiment I wanted to talk about is the menu system I've been using lately. So if you're watching the YouTube version, I'll show examples while I talk here. I'll just throw them up there. I've been making weekly menus for a long time using these note cards that I have with all of our dinner ideas, and I just kind of pick them. Sometimes the kids help me pick them. But for about a year now, I've been entering those weekly menus into Trello, which is the online organization app that I use. And I mean, you could just write this down. You could put it in your planner, wherever you wanted to put it. But then I have a whole bank of weekly meals. So I can just choose a week and all the meals go together and use similar ingredients. Some of them are rollover meals. So I use leftovers to make a new meal, that kind of thing. But they kind of just fit. So it's not like reinventing the wheel every week. I can just go back like, what did I cook last winter? Okay, I'll just choose another winter meal. I have them organized by season because that changes things, like what, there's more soups in the winter, things like that. So I've been loving it because it just makes it so easy to just pick. And sometimes there's something that I want to switch out, but that's way easier than starting from scratch every week or every month or however often you do it. So I have loved that, just having a weekly menu. I like it better for me than having a monthly menu because I can kind of pick based on what's going on that week and just figure it out. And then I just use that to make my Walmart list and I order that online. It's great. So that's been working fabulously. And even I'll start including some of my seasonal weekly menus in my monthly newsletters, just in case anybody wants ideas. I know you won't have the same taste or recipes or anything like that, but it'll just, just to get you going if you're in a slump like I get into often. So it's always good to see ideas. So yeah, I'll include a couple of those in each newsletter that are seasonally appropriate. The last home management experiment I'll share is just that I've been setting aside 30 minutes a day for organizing something, anything in the house. And I try to pick whatever's been annoying me the most lately or just the job I've been dreading the most. So I save like my fun podcasts for that time and I set a timer for 30 minutes so I know it will have a finite end. And sometimes it's just clearing a pile or emptying a basket, organizing a drawer, things like that, a closet, but it's allowed me to just like chip away at a lot of annoying projects, and I can handle anything for 30 minutes and yeah, try to make it enjoyable with a fun podcast. So the next category of experiments are parenting and kind of like family connection experiments. So the first thing that I started this fall is that I decided to tie my kids' allowance to our monthly check-ins. We've been doing these, but we're not always completely regular every month. So, and I talked about this a little bit on my last episode, but this is our 6-point check-in where I just meet one-on-one with each kid and see how they're doing in these 6 different areas. So physical, intellectual, social, spiritual, money, and technology. So we just kind of go down the list and see what they're struggling with, what I can help them with, what their successes have been. We just have this great conversation. They know what to expect. It's gotten pretty routine, but now the kids are more motivated to do the check-in because they want their allowance. So they're asking me, oh, can we do our check-in and figure out our money? It's a time where we can settle any debts that we have. I put the money into their accounts, and it's just been an extra motivation to actually have those chats. So it's not always me having to remember. And they usually go better if they've eaten something and they're not grumpy. And it's, anyway, some prefer at night. We've just figured it out how it works best for each kid. But anyway, that's been going really well, especially since we've been tying it to allowance. It helps us set goals, things like that too. And then at the same time, we've been working on having better and more frequent family meetings as well. So instead of just calendaring, which we always have to calendar and figure out what everybody's doing that week, who needs rides where and stuff like that. That's an obvious given, but we've also been trying to have like some more teaching moments. And sometimes that's more on the spiritual side. Sometimes that's running our family and just having a meeting on how to solve a problem that we're having, things like that. So one thing for us this year, our church time changed. So we were meeting at 12 o'clock every Sunday, and now we're meeting at 9, which is actually quite a big difference because now we get home at 11. We're 9 to 11, and we have the whole day ahead of us. So this gives us more time to be together because when church is at 12, our kids sleep pretty up till like 11. So that cut out a significant portion of the day. So we're actually really excited. And so we had a special family meeting talking about how we want to structure our Sundays now that we have church at a different time. And like we value honoring the Sabbath. And so how we want to do that. So I found 2 talks by some of our church leaders about keeping the Sabbath day holy. And I assigned the shorter one to the kids who don't like to read as much and the longer ones to David and I and a son that reads really fast. And we all kind of read them separately and then came together to share what we thought about them. Some people participated at different levels than others. And one kid complained like, this is my biggest nightmare, having school at home. But anyway, but he still participated and we had a great discussion. And I really like that idea because I feel like it's a skill that is waning in our kids' education. I don't know, just reading something and then having a good discussion about it. So I like the idea of doing that more often as our family. So I plan to hopefully do that with like current events, maybe a controversial article or something like that we can like talk about our opinions and get used to talking about difficult topics together because I want that to be something that is part of our family culture. If we disagree in politics or disagree in something else, I want to be able to have civil discussions about difficult topics. So we did that discussion about the articles. That wasn't very controversial, but I would love to kind of add that in. So we'll see. We also had another one, like a good big picture calendaring, like what kind of trips do we want to take, just kind of mapping out our year. So that was one of our family meetings. Another one is I just printed out my worksheets for creating systems. And I asked everybody to just get a pen and write out their own room cleaning system and just think it through. Some didn't write a thing. Some were really into the worksheet. But regardless of whether they wrote it down or not, we were able to discuss like, okay, what is your system? Like, how often are you going to vacuum? What day are you going to vacuum? When are you going to do things like dusting and washing the windows? How often do you need to do that? How often do you need to wash your sheets and um, things like that? So we just kind of mapped out like what everybody's plan was, and I gave them plenty of room to make that their own because that's something they're in charge of. So yeah, it went better for some than others, but it was a good discussion. So we'll keep trying to do those like once a week, those bigger discussions, and then yeah, hopefully I'll have more successful meetings to share with you once we have some more. So um, another thing that was new for us this year, an experiment, is that we did our first college tour. So we made the mistake with our first son. He applied and got into BYU, Idaho, and we had planned to go on a trip so he could see what it looked like. But at the last minute, his friends were going on this fun trip, and he wanted to do that instead. And that was the time we had allotted. So we said yes, and he went with his friends. But then he went on a mission for our church, which is 2 years long, and he is going to come back and just go pretty much straight to school. He'll have some time at home, but then he'll go to school having never seen it. So obviously that was the wrong call because you can't really get excited about it or picture it or anything. So we decided we were not going to make that mistake with the other two boys who also want to go there. So this fall break, we decided to take a trip there. We usually go to the mountains in Colorado because we have mountain bike race at the end of that. But this time we decided to go to the Grand Tetons and then do a day trip over to BYU, Idaho to explore that. So first of all, the Tetons are gorgeous and we had a great time, even though it wasn't the greatest weather. So that was fun to just do something different for fall break. But also it was so great to just like see it myself. I hadn't been there either. So we were able to go on campus. I was able to kind of figure out how to get the son that's on a mission housing when he gets back. But these sons were able to like take a good tour, start getting excited about college, see, I don't know, just visualize it all. So that was great. Probably most of you do college trips and go to multiple colleges. Yeah, we just missed the boat with our first, which, guinea pig, that just happens a lot. You make mistakes. So as for the sports, this fall is kind of our heavy sports season in our family, maybe for lots of families. But this year we had two choose to do mountain biking, which is awesome because they had all of their practices at the same time. I love when that happens. And one was able to compete because he's in high school, and my daughter was just able to practice with him because she's in middle school still. So anyway, they had fun practicing together. They really enjoyed the season. And kind of one of the bonuses is that it's actual mountain biking in the literal sense, whereas where the races are all in the mountains. So we got to take fun family trips every weekend, and it was really great. Lots of togetherness and cheering each other on, good stuff like that. So hooray for mountain biking. That was a win. My daughter chose to do mountain biking and cross country, which I usually limit it to one, but she's going to go full bore on mountain biking, and she's a really fast runner. So I wanted her to have one more season in cross country. It's just a bummer that they overlap. But anyway, so she did both. It was a little much. There were some stressful homework days. Don't recommend, but anyway, it worked. It worked it was a short cross country season, so it was fine. Our other son, this was the first time in his high school career that he did not do the high school play. He wasn't super excited about the play that they were doing. And so he only auditioned for 2 parts. And he was like, if I don't get these 2 parts, I don't want to do it. And I don't know if that unwillingness to be in the ensemble or do a different part is what didn't get in the part, or if it was just, you never know why people don't get parts. But anyway, he didn't get those 2 parts. And I was so proud of him for drawing a line in his senior year because he knows how much goes into being in a play and how it takes over your whole life. And you usually get sick. And anyway, it's a commitment, and it's great if that's your thing and if you're excited about it. But he just wasn't excited about this play. And So I was really proud of him for his senior year, just like taking control and being like, you know what? These are the conditions under which I will do it, and otherwise I'm going to be happy with it. And he totally did that, and he got to experience fall for the first time in many, many years. And he got to come up with us to the mountains when we went to these mountain bike races. And it was super fun having him around. And I so appreciated the maturity of that tough decision because he does love being in the play. But yeah, I was very proud of just like the maturity behind that decision and being okay that he didn't make it. And that just happens in life sometimes. So anyway, that was great. And it also gave him the opportunity to try some new things. So he hosted music nights once a week for the whole month of September, where it was just kind of like he set up all our band equipment in kind of a more prominent place in the basement, and just kept it set up all month long, and just invited anybody and everybody to come and just have a jam session. And different people came each time. Sometimes there were more people than others, but it was so cool. And they were just all teenagers, just singing and playing instruments downstairs. And it was awesome. So that was a really cool experiment that he tried. And I would say it was quite successful. Another son, I've been struggling with room cleaning, and it was just kind of always a disaster that you'd have to wade through when you went into the room. And actually, we did this with two sons, actually. They just didn't care about their room, and they weren't excited about it. And so we decided to figure out what would make them excited about it and what would make it a place that they wanted to be. So for one, it was just lighting. He just the overhead lights were too strong, too glaring. He wanted just some more ambient lighting, and we rearranged some furniture. We got another lamp that would help with the lighting situation. And we just made it a place that he wanted to be more. We put things up, changed things up on the walls and things like that. And when it became a place that he wanted to be, he also wanted to keep it cleaner. And it was quite a transformation, and he's been able to keep it up. So yeah, sometimes it just takes reimagining a space and making it their own. So when that was so successful, we did that with another son too, and he's been doing a great job keeping it clean as well. So that was a very successful experiment. Another son, my youngest son, has taken up the guitar, which I'm super excited about. That makes pretty much across the board, everybody's main instrument is now the guitar. Well, one is still the piano and guitar, but he also plays the guitar. So guitar is a popular instrument at our house right now. And we try to keep as many guitars as possible upstairs so that they're accessible and that they play them. And they all do kind of pick them up and play them a lot. So my youngest was doing Simply Guitar, the app that, we've seen advertised around. And it was actually really great for the beginning, especially getting him to learn some basic chords and stuff like that. But pretty soon it became obvious that he was more committed. He was sticking to that. And so we decided to get him some guitar lessons. So we signed him up with a guitar teacher that we knew and liked, and he's been doing that. And he gets so excited for guitar lessons each week. And it's just the motivation he needs to keep learning these songs. That same son, my youngest son, rode to school all but 1 week. He had the biggest streak going. He's in 5th grade. He's been riding his bike to school by himself since he was in 4th grade. It's about 2 miles. Downhill there, uphill back. But he's really strong and loves biking. And it just starts his day off so well. He just does so much better when he can exercise in the morning, and he likes the autonomy. He doesn't have to wait for his sister to be ready to go to school. He gets right up, and he gets ready really fast. For a while, he was stopping at his friend's house, and actually I didn't realize this at first, but he was also eating breakfast there. My friend is so great for feeding him, and that became the routine. And so then they'd ride together, and sometimes 3 of them all together. It was great, and he loved it. the week that he didn't ride was when it was snowing. He rode in the rain even, but when it was snowing, he didn't ride for obvious reasons. But anyway, that is just has just been such a good thing for him. Another one of my sons has been really successful with his hat business. He's kind of been making these beanies for a while. They started making them last winter, and they got serious about it this fall, heading into the winter. Set up a business. We even got him a business account at the bank, and he has been selling. He has a business partner, one of his friends, and they've just been cranking out these hats, and they have sold them. Like, you can't go to the school without seeing a bunch of people wearing his beanies. They're awesome, and they just sit there and sew together and cut fabric, and they've been shipping them a little bit. It's been great. So I'll include a link to there's an Instagram account where he's selling these, and anyway, it's been pretty cool. So you can like check out his hats if you want to. But it's really fun to see him like learning things about business and working with a partner and sewing and doing all these things, and just like how cool it's been to see his friends wearing his hats around and people he doesn't even know wanting to buy his hats. He really gets noticed wherever we go. Like in the Tetons while we were there, like people kept asking about his hats and commenting on his hats. So they're pretty cool. And then he's also branching out and making belts out of old rock climbing ropes. Anyway, they're really cool belts. So, and really cool hats. So I'm really proud of him for his entrepreneurial spirit and for being good with the money he's making. Anyway, so that's been just fantastic experiment. My daughter, I talked about how she was balancing cross country and mountain biking, and she handled that pretty well. This winter, she's just doing one sport. She decided to just try basketball for the first time, which last year she tried soccer for the first time. So I'm really proud of her, like as a 7th and 8th grader, just trying a new sport for the first time. So she's doing basketball, and she practiced a ton like before tryouts, and she made the B team, had her first game yesterday. It was super fun to watch her. So I just love watching my kids try new things. So that has been another fun experiment on the parenting side. So on a personal level, the new thing I've been trying is that my physical therapy is now water aerobics. And so I go 2 to 3 times a week to our local rec center, and I do water aerobics. Most people are anywhere from like 15 to 20, 25 years older than me. And I actually think that's delightful because I've made many great friends, and honestly, the older you are, the less of a filter you have. And I enjoy that about the women that I am doing water aerobics with. And anyway, it's just delightful to spend time with them and to exercise. It's just so freeing for me because I can exercise hard for an hour without really hurting my back too much, when I'm suspended in the water. And I feel like I've just been missing the ability to dance. Like, I just don't have like a lot of free, painless movements in my life. And so it's pretty painless in the water, and I feel like I'm dancing. So like try to do my little routines in rhythm with the music and like dance in the water. Anyway, it's very freeing to have less pain, but still be getting a good workout. And I'm starting to notice dividends. Like I'm getting stronger and having more endurance. And so I'm really optimistic that will get me ready to like do fun stuff like hiking and maybe even biking this summer. That's my big goal, is to be able to get back on a bike, probably get a gravel bike this summer and start doing some of the things that I love. Along the lines of like the physical stuff, a couple times this fall, I got so tired of like, one thing that when you have chronic pain from injuries or whatever like that, you just get like really tired of having to be so tuned into your body all the time. It's like a full-time job, like, oh, analyzing, like, oh, did I overdo it? Did I not work out enough? Should I be resting more? Should I be active more? It's just constantly analyzing. Is this pain from my kidneys or is this pain from my back or, things like that. And it just gets exhausting when you're always tuned in. And plus it feels like selfish and like, I know it's fine to do, but I just get tired of like focusing so much on myself and on my health. And so there were like a couple of different times where I was just like, I'm having a week of denial. I'm not thinking about my physical body at all. I'm just going to live my life and do what I want to do. And if it hurts, so be it. And so I was just like refused to analyze those weeks. And it was actually so freeing. Like, yes, I like paid for it because I usually overdid it when I did that. But it was worth it because it was just so nice to free up that headspace of like having to worry about just overanalyzing all the time and just being so self-focused. I just got so tired of that. So anyway, that worked for me. I'm not saying that everybody should try that if they're having pain or illness or something, but it sure was nice. Like I remember that feeling when I was pregnant too, like where you're just so hyper-focused on every bodily sensation and like, is the baby moving and all this stuff. Get so tired of it. So I don't know. I just needed a break. So for what it's worth, it worked for me. The other fun thing I've been doing lately is I have been crocheting my own clothes. Well, I made 2 items of clothing for myself with crochet. I had made baby dresses before and then I was like, okay, I'm ready for something bigger. So this sweater, kind of raise up so you can see it. I made this, and I've been wearing it and it's pretty fun to wear something I made. And it was fun to like design and figure out and problems. There's a lot of problem solving in crocheting, which I like. And it's just great. I don't know. It's a great hobby for me when I'm more sedentary these days. And then I made this full dress. And I'll post pictures of this on Instagram and I'm posting it right now on the video. So you can see what that looks like, but it was a pretty fun project and I love how it turned out. So I'll be probably crocheting more clothes and being the crazy crochet lady. Anyway, that's been a fun thing, but I just love that I was able to, when I had to cut out a lot of my hobbies that I loved, I was able to find something totally new that I love. So it's just been a really fun artistic outlet for me. And now I'll talk a little bit about experiments I'm doing on the podcast. So I have had some employees this year, and I've been getting better at learning how to like delegate some of the podcast stuff. And my assistant Kimberly has been so helpful. She's now like starting to post all my social media stuff. Like I write it, she posts it, and she posts my podcast on all the platforms and just doing a lot of the details so I can focus on creating episodes and interviewing and those kind of things. So I'm not so overwhelmed. Because she's been so helpful, I was like, well, maybe I can go back to doing 1 episode a week. And I do this every December. I'm like, yeah, when January hits, I'm going to be able to do everything and do an episode a week and just go gangbusters on this podcast. Then once January hits, I'm like, reality sets in. Okay, I'm still going to do mainly 2 episodes a month. There might be some bonus ones every so often, or, if I just have so much to share, that there might be extras, but for sure there will be 2 episodes a month, and I'll be focusing on one self-reliance topic every month. So I'm excited about this year, this season. And I'm thinking of keeping it going over the summer, just getting ahead and doing it so that I can really do 1 topic a month. So that's the plan for now. I also hired a podcast manager and I'm so excited about her. Haley McElroy is her name, but not for long because she's going to get married soon. But anyway, she is a college student and she's enthusiastic about podcasting, and hopefully she'll be able to help me just with some of the management side, maybe even figuring out how to help it pay for itself, because that would be amazing. Maybe after that, I'll even try to make a profit and actually have it be a functional business. But anyway, we're just trying to get to self-sustaining at this point. Just try to work on my business sense a little bit. Yeah, just some changes around here. Those are really our big fall and winter experiments. I will pop in again with an experiment episode, probably around May. So you can see what we've been up to in the spring. And next month is our hygiene month, and I have now recorded all of the episodes for that, and way more interesting than I thought it was going to be. And yeah, just you wait. There's actually 3, so I'm going to be doing 3 episodes in February. If you want to follow along with my skills lists, of skills that you can teach your kids with each category, you can order the whole lot of them. They're available right now, so you can get all the categories right now with the skill lists at familylabpodcast.com. So those are available now, as well as the just standalone self-reliance checklist. So the package has the self-reliance checklist and then also the individual skills sheets for all that lists the skills for each of the topics. Hopefully that makes sense. But if you join my newsletter, I'll be sending out that month's skills worksheet just for free, and along with that, being part of the newsletter. So if you want to get that, you can sign up just on the homepage of the website, and there'll be other things like those recipes and just little updates. So yeah, join the newsletter. Find us on YouTube if you've been just listening. You'll get a little bit more out of some of the episodes if you can see the video. And as always, on Instagram at Family Lab Podcast. And thanks for listening to this episode of the Family Lab Podcast. Special thanks to my assistant, Kimberly Hansen, and my podcast manager, Haley McElroy. And of course, as always, thanks to my mother, Susan Singley, for playing the theme music for this podcast. She used to play this song all the time when I was a kid. And to me, it's the soundtrack of motherhood.